Okay, hi guys. I am going to ask you two questions. 1. Is Britain a democracy? 2. Should religion have a place in politics or law or anything like that? For the first question, is Britain a democracy? Well, clearly it is, because we elect the government, but once the government is elected, there isn't that much that us, the people, can do about what the government does. Basically, once they're in power, they become what some political writers have called elective dictatorship, which is basically their dictatorship, but they've been elected. The premise is which is like, we've gone through a general election, we've elected this party into power, into government, but that's it. That's all the input we have. They can go off and do what they want now for 4 or 5 years until they have to call the next general election. And also, traditionally, this is how the system is meant to work. In Britain we have a cabinet. We have the Prime Minister, but then we have a cabinet. And the way the system is meant to work is that Prime Minister is supposed to be Primus Inter Pares, which is some random Latin words that I learnt in politics and for some reason I remember. Primus Inter Pares basically means the prime amongst equals, or the first among equals. And so the cabinet in this country is supposed to be sort of a council sort of setup. So there's a group of people at the very top, and they go to the Parliament, they go to the Lords, and they get the stuff done. But recently, especially with Margaret Thatcher and Tony Blair, that has become less of a council sort of state of affairs and more onto a presidential state of affairs, where the Prime Minister is actually the leader and has taken more of an active role in sorting stuff out and getting stuff done. Sometimes this is a good thing, but you know, they can get stuff through quickly. They can just say they're going to do something, everyone agrees, they get it done. Easy as that, done. But it also works in the other way, that very bad way, because that means that the Prime Minister has an enormous amount of power and basically can do whatever he wants, which could be extremely bad for the country. To put it into context for you, especially you Americans or anyone under a presidential system, presidents have much, much, much less power than a modern British Prime Minister does. I mean, I know it doesn't really look like it in the Blair-Bush relationship. Bush is clearly more powerful than Blair, but that's because as countries, the US is far more important than Britain is, okay? But as titles and offices, Prime Ministers has always been more powerful because the President he has to go through Congress, he has to go through the Senate, all these endless little things that just slow everything down, so he can't really do what he wants all the time. In this country, the Prime Minister has a tremendous amount of power, okay? Because, especially recently, let's take Tony Blair, because, you know, he's nice and simple. He was the Prime Minister. He was also the leader of the Labour Party. The Labour Party had majority in Parliament, and so they could push stuff through. So basically, whatever Tony Blair said got done, okay? Just done. Say Tony Blair wanted to raise taxes on the middle class, okay? So he would put this proposition to his party. He's the leader of the party, therefore most of the Labour Party would probably support him. If the Labour Party supports him, that means the majority of Parliament supports him, because the way our system works, the party in majority has the power, okay? That can be really useful in that it can get stuff done really quickly, but it also can be extremely, really undemocratic. So basically, whatever the Prime Minister says, the whole country has to go with, okay? So that's your question. Is Britain a democracy? Yes or no? Comment down there.